I didn't think I would wake up one day thinking I needed a vertical handheld. That really wasn't the plan. But sometimes a device pops up that makes you pause, and this was one of those moments. It wasn't the hype, it wasn't specs, it was curiosity, and honestly, design just wouldn't leave my mind. The Anbernic RG477v is the first vertical handheld I ever purchased. I usually skip vertical devices entirely, but a full glass front caught my attention immediately. It feels clean, minimal, and it fits beautifully alongside my other handhelds like the AYN Tour and Odin 3. I'm not an original hardware purist, I just enjoy variety and just add something visually different to my collection. The RG477V sits in Anbernic's high-end lineup with a Dimensity 8300 and a Mali GPU. Mali GPUs can be a bit hit or miss because of a weaker driver support, especially compared to Snapdragon chips with custom turnip drivers. One thing that is easy to love though is the display. It's a 4.7-inch 4x3 120Hz LCD at 1280 by 960 with Bluetooth 5.3, Wi-Fi 6E, and Android 14. For a LCD, the screen is beautiful. I do wish it were OLED, but it's vibrant, sharp, and very comfortable to look at. The games I play don't use 120Hz refresh rate, but it's still nice knowing it's there. It comes in gray, reminiscent of the classic Game Boy DMG, and black. I chose gray. I'm tired of black handhelds. I wish more companies would offer pastel colors. Accessories are limited. A screen protector, a hard case, that's about it, though I did see a soft pink case that I might grab. I've been using it for a month now, long enough to see where it shines and where it struggles. I think that's important. First impressions are well just that. Your first thoughts on something while living with something is different. Before we go further, hi, my name is Sin. I'm a CG generalist and illustrator. I make videos about handhelds, tech, art, and games. If that sounds like your thing, consider subscribing. Over the past month, this has become my old school Sims machine. The screen size makes pixel art and retro style 3D games really comfortable to play. Testing PC games compatibility is a big deal for me. There are a lot of clips online showing Android handhelds running Steam games effortlessly, and while that can be true, there's definitely more of a nuance to it. One thing that surprised me was how much I enjoyed visual novels on this display, specifically Doki Doki Literature Club. There's something about the vertical format that complements that genre in a really satisfying way. It actually made me want to explore more visual novels. So if you have recommendations, I'd love to hear them in the comments. Now to the size. This is a large handheld, especially for a vertical form factor. It almost feels like someone gently compressed a widescreen device into a taller shape. The footprint reminds me of a Steam Deck screen area. Weighing 339 grams, after longer sessions, I noticed the weight a little more. Would I take this out casually? Probably not. It feels better suited to being at home. It's not uncomfortable, just something I'm aware of. The controls are clicky, responsive. The D-pad has a firm, precise feel without being stiff. The matte finish on the back helps with grip, and I naturally rest my pinky fingers underneath for support. My one lingering hardware wish is analog triggers. The body has enough depth to accommodate them, and that addition would have elevated the experience just a little further. Setup was simple. The majority of emulators you would need are pre-installed. It lacks a polished control center like you would see on AYN or INEA devices, and the lack of a proper mouse mode disappointed me. For games that rely on mouse input, you're entirely dependent on the app you're using. When it comes to performance, I tested GameCube first, The Sims Busting Out, Mario Kart Double Dash, Soul Calibur. The experience was fine, not flawless. The Sims has felt slightly slower than I like. It's difficult to say whether it is the chip itself or the Dolphin version installed. With some tweaking, I suspect it could improve, but time escapes me. I have the 8GB 128GB model. I originally ordered the 12GB 256GB version from Amazon, but the seller sent me the wrong device. The mix-up actually gave me a chance to evaluate what 8GB can realistically handle. GameCube and lighter PC emulation through GameHub or GameNative, 8GB seems to be enough, surprisingly. The bigger limitation once again is the Mali GPU and the lack of custom driver support. For PC games, I revisited GameNative, an open source project I used before. Results were mixed but leaning positive. Games like Stardew Valley, Fields of Mistria, Unpacking, Little Gator Game, Vemba, and Grimshire all ran well for me. Shenmue 2 worked good, minus some voice audio. Other games didn't. Calico and Haven Park had noticeable graphical glitches. Minami Lane crashed the whole system consistently. On paper, this hardware should manage them. In practice, the lack of custom drivers make a significant difference. The contrast becomes very clear when I compare this with my AYN Tor with its Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. The custom Turner driver support changes the experience entirely. And yet, the games that did run well here generally shifted my perspective on vertical handhelds. I didn't expect to connect with this format this much, but I did. At some point, I stopped testing it and just played. Overall, I'd rate it an 8 out of 10. Not because it's perfect, but because it delivers where it matters most for my use case. If your focus is retro gaming and 4x3 content, it feels thoughtfully aligned with that purpose. PC gaming is possible, sometimes even great, but it isn't universally consistent. Price is where things become more complicated. On Amazon, the 8GB model sits around $269.99 through third-party sellers. On Anbernic's website, pricing starts closer to $219.99 with the 12GB version around $259.99. Shipping added about $25 for me in New York. At that price, it sits near devices like the AYN Tor, Ionia Pocket Vert, Retro Pocket 6, along with several sub $200 vertical handhelds that already excel at retro emulation. So the decision becomes less about capability and more about preference. This is my second experience with Anbernic after the Win 600, and overall I'm happy. Even if it feels slightly less polished than some of my other Android handhelds, there's still something about it that pulls me in. Would you daily drive a vertical handheld this size, or does it feel more like a stay-at-home device to you? Thank you so much for spending your time here, and I'll see you in the next one.